told me Jesus did not die on the cross. But Christians think Jesus certainly died on the cross.
Now, on the surface, this seems to be a good argument. The Quran tells him that Jesus did not die on the cross. Christians say he did. And historians will tell you that Jesus' crucifixion is one of the things they are most sure about that happened in the life of Jesus. Therefore, Christianity has a more logical approach here than the Quran until you stop to think about it. Now, ask yourself this. What do historians look at to determine whether or not Jesus died on a cross? And they look at the historical records, people talking about him dying on a cross. Well, what difference would there be between Jesus actually dying on the cross or it being made to appear that Jesus died on the cross in the historical record? And there's only really one difference that you would see, potentially. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But if people honestly believe that Jesus died on the cross, and they would say Jesus died on the cross, and the historical record would bear out that Jesus died on the cross, whether he did or not. The difference would be that if he didn't actually die on the cross, people might see him show up, walking around, talking to people later, because he didn't actually die. And herein lies the problem. Listen, Christians generally accept this on faith. I get this. But here he's presenting this as a logical conclusion. It is not logical because people see things all the time that didn't happen. Things like the Loch Ness Monster, things like Chupacabra, the New Jersey Devil, Sasquatch. People see things that scientifically we would say aren't there. We have no evidence that this actually exists, that this actually happened, and yet people claim to have seen it. So people could claim to have seen Jesus crucified without him actually being crucified, and that would actually do a good job explaining why he was walking around and talking later, right? Both Christians and Muslims address, how was he walking around talking later? Well, the Muslims say because he wasn't crucified. Christians say, well, because he came back to life after being dead for 3 days. The problem is that we don't have either historical records or current things that we can look at that show people dying and coming back to life after 3 days. But we have people claiming to see things that weren't there all the time. So which one of these is more logical? The problem is he's taking the crucifixion and isolating it and saying, well, Christianity has a more logical view than I used to have as a Muslim on this topic. And if you isolate it, yes, but Christians can't just believe in the crucifixion. They have to believe in the resurrection as well. And once you factor in the resurrection, the Muslim view is actually more logical than the Christian view. Now, I get it. You have whatever view you have, and that's fine. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. Just say it's faith. Don't pass it off as logic when it isn't.